Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World Crypto Network. And today we are doing a talk on Steemit. People have requested for me to do an AMA for both the Steemit and the non-Steemit community about my views on Steemit. And this is a chance for anyone to ask me anything. For this show, I have asked another great video blogger to join me and help me out. So why don't you introduce yourself? Meister? You with me there?
Hey, everyone. Yes, this is Adam Meister. We have a little bit of a delay here, I think. But I'm the Bitcoin Meister. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine. Everything is all set.
Yeah. Is there a Tone? Are you getting?
Yeah. No, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, it's just everything's getting repeated here on my end. I'm hearing it all over again. There's like.
That's probably because you have the YouTube open. You might want to close the YouTube.
The only
you want to close the actual YouTube. You have the. I mean, you're watching it like our followers are watching.
There we go. That was the problem, wasn't it? It was playing,
yes.
And I didn't even know. Oh, such technical difficulties we have here. I'm no technical master. But okay,
all right, so let's try this again. Go ahead and introduce yourself the way everyone expects you to.
Okay, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister, and we're doing this live AMA with Tone Vays. You might know me from the Bitcoin Meister channel. Check it out. But this Steemit controversy has reached its pinnacle, I guess, and there are people who want to ask Tone some questions. He was invited to do this AMA, so I guess let's just jump right into it. The first question that was left on my Steemit page, it says, why does Tone hate Dan Larimer so much? Why does he call him a scammer? Why does he call BitShares a scam? What has Dan done specifically to be such by Tone? Now, I think we can kind of summarize. There's two different questions here.
All right, Adam, hold on a second. Before we get to that is actually a very deep question. Before we get to that, I just wanted to just point out one thing, and I'm going to share my screen actually because I'm probably going to have a lot of things to show.
Okay.
So just so everyone knows, this is how this MMA got started. I was contacted on Twitter as a tweet by Joseph Stallman, who said, Tone Vays, you're invited to do an AMA on Steemit.com. Of course, I did not want to create a Steemit account. It would have been difficult for me to create a Steemit account because I don't even have a Reddit account. And this tweet was retweeted 153 times. So that means there was sufficient interest from what appears to be the Steemit community that was interested in this MMA. So there you go. So now we will have this. I mean, that's great. I don't think I've ever gotten 153 retweets on any of my tweets. So that was actually very impressive. And I have over 4,000 followers now. I think once I tweeted something and I got that much. So that was how that got started. And also I want to address, and this was his post, which was a very good post. I actually have not seen this movie, so that was an interesting clip. Actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, they did.
So one other Twitter thing I wanted to mention, because I think Tuck, yes. Oh man, it was definitely from Tuck. Should have been a little more ready with that one. Not there. Oh man. Wait, is that it? No. Huh. I seem to be missing a comment. Anyway, so when it comes to Twitter, I actually wrote down, I never write anything down. When it comes to Twitter, here are my little views on Twitter. I do not block people on Twitter. I am not a blocker. I have never blocked anyone. I don't even know how to block people, right? To me, if I see someone like a tweet, it means that whatever was tweeted intrigued them. If I see someone retweet something, I consider that an agreement with that tweet, or if it's something funny, then it made them laugh. They want other people to laugh. That's my views on Twitter. Now, I try to reply to people that engage with me. I almost never engage with people. So it's very rare I tweet at a person, but when people tweet at me, I always make an effort to tweet back at them. But here's the thing. I never ever delete my tweets, my public tweets. So if I tweet out something to my followers, if I tweet out something to the world, I never ever delete those. Never happened. However, if I end up in a conversation on Twitter where I'm tweeting at a person and a person is tweeting back at me, those I will occasionally delete because I don't consider those public tweets. I consider those a private conversation that can be viewed by anyone. And I also don't like crazy, stupid fights and debates to blow up my Twitter account. Therefore, if I'm ever accused of deleting tweets, it had to be a tweet in the middle of a back and forth, and I didn't think that tweet was necessary. And I usually warn people, I am going to delete my side of this stupid argument. Feel free to screenshot it. Feel free to save it. Feel free to do whatever you want. So that's kind of my view on Twitter. Just so people know, I do not backwash. If I say something stupid, I'll either stand by it or I will I'll say I was wrong and here's the new side. Now, there is also a 40-minute clip going around where supposedly I had agreed to apologize if I was wrong about Steemit, and people seem to think I owe the community this apology. But I had to go back and rewatch this 40-second cherry-picked part of a 1-hour interview, and I clearly state in that 40 seconds, perhaps in about 10 years, if Steemit, is still around and is, relevant. And it's been only about 6 months, so I'm not sure how that turned into I owe the community an apology. And I actually think I was right. I know some people already disagree with me. But okay, so now we can get into the questions.
Well, you actually brought up, talking about Steemit being in the early stages. It makes me. What do you think? What do you think about the beta aspect of it? That it's still in beta. Does that? I mean, you don't want to give any leeway because someone actually brought that up in something that I read. That it's just beta. Why don't you just give it? Should they take down their beta sign? Do you think that's just an excuse, or what do you think about that?
Oh, it's totally an excuse because I don't know any other betas with at one point having like $200 million of completely lost capital on the line. I mean that's not a beta, right? I mean beta is something that I know everyone tries to compare it to Bitcoin. I mean Bitcoin really was in beta, and to be honest, the creators of Bitcoin and the maintainers of the Bitcoin code to this day will never advise people to go and buy Bitcoin. Yet the creators of Steemit have been advising people to buy Steemit from day one. So I don't see how like that makes it a beta. Like it's beta when you try to convince people, use it at your own risk and things like that. But beta was Steemit was championed as a great investment vehicle that will make people rich. And no one working on Bitcoin, I've never heard any prominent core developer ever recommend Bitcoin because that would just be irresponsible.
Now, what you just actually said made me think of something. I can kind of, you mentioned how much Steem was worth at one time, and that because of that, how can you have a website that's still in beta? But I think some would argue, or some are able to separate Steem from that they work together, but they can be separate, and that you should maybe give the site a break and I mean, just attack the crypto. Because a lot of people take it very personally, I think, that you're attacking, that you're not, I mean, that you're criticizing Steemit. And that's like this, that's the real people. If you, I think, made it more clear, like this cryptocurrency, I don't get it at all, but maybe social media could work. I mean, I don't know. It just made me think that there is, for some, there's a separation of Steem and Steemit.
But but I'm sorry, I can't buy that, right? Because the Steemit website is the generator of the Steem token. So how can anyone realistically separate the two? I mean, that is what feeds it. The white paper clearly states, one votes on anybody's work, then no Steem would be created.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's get into that first question that well, BitShares a lot, and a lot of people kind of know what it is, but you say it's a scam. Why is BitShares? Why was BitShares? I mean, it still exists. BitShares is still out there. Why do you call BitShares a scam? This guy is wondering.
Yeah, but I mean, Aurora Coin is still out there as well. I mean, here is the graph of Aurora Coin. It's the one on the bottom left. Aurora Coin, at one point in time, had a market cap of over $1 billion. It was #2 on the crypto charts, and it went above Litecoin. This is before Ethereum, and Aurora Coin was #2 at $1 billion. And let me see, where is it trading these days? So right now, Aurora Coin is at 13 cents, right? So Aurora Coin is at about the same price as Steemit is today. Today, Steemit is about 13 cents. So these things never actually die, all right? So they're still trading. And if I go back to the previous chart, I mean, even Paycoin is still trading, right? It has a price of 0.002 cents, which I believe is the same price as BitShares is right now. Let me take a look at BitShares. Hold on. I think I have one of these for a longer view. I don't know where it went. Or let me open, yeah, here. So where's BitShares? Right, so the price at BitShares is 0.004 cents each BitShare. And if I go to Paycoin, wait, where was that? There we go. If I go to Paycoin, last time I did the snapshot, the price of a Paycoin, which you can still buy today, is 0.002 cents. So it's about half price of one share of BitShares, right? So these things never actually die. But I mean, Dan Larimer clearly stated that he has left the BitShares project. Oh yeah, here they are. They're on the same. I didn't realize they were both right here. Yeah, so Paycoin and BitShares are almost at the same price. Now, I understand the quantity, the available supply is completely different between Paycoin and BitShares, but Paycoin was actually mined into existence, and the BitShares was proof of stake, which was Dan Larimer's idea, and Vitalik, similar to him, they're both believers in proof of stake. So in something like Paycoin, people actually had to devote mining equipment to kind of create this thing. And by the way, if there are any listeners here that have never heard of Aurora Coin and have never heard of Paycoin before today, I'm not the one that needs to do a lot of researching. You guys definitely need to do a lot more researching, because I was around and watching these things come into existence, and then also watching their crash. So I was there for that. So if there are new people telling me that I need to understand Steemit better, you guys need to be also experts at exactly what Aurora Coin was, at exactly what Paycoin was, because I was there for those, and I was watching those, and I wasn't really talking about them because they were happening before I started blogging and writing. So you're not going to see much, just a couple of tweets here and there on both of them.
So the basic, okay.
Right. So no, I was going to talk about proof of stake. The reason why, to answer that question, why do I think Daniel Larimer is a scammer, is because he tries to convince the world that proof of stake is a viable model, and it just isn't. I don't really want to get into the details of why proof of stake is not a viable model on a technical level, because that is not my expertise. But other people with the technical competency have written extensively why the concept of proof of stake is basically just fairyland, and it's scammy to begin with, and it's not revolutionary, and there's nothing there. It's literally the concept of proof of stake is exactly like our current monetary system that everybody hates, only the inflation rate is so much higher, and a lot fewer insiders get all of the new printed money. So that is how I see proof of stake. So anyone that complains about our current monetary system, the US dollar, even the Zimbabwe currency, right? Or everyone talks about the hyperinflation currency. You've been to Zimbabwe, right? You know what it's like, right?
Yes.
So yes. Even like the Zimbabwe hyperinflation currency, that is exactly what the proof of stake system is offering you. It's literally inflating your currency supply, and it goes directly to those that have the most of it, so that they become much better off than those that don't have as much of that currency. And Satoshi understood the problem with proof of stake, and Daniel Larimer did not. Therefore, at one point, they got into, a little... Satoshi understood the problem with proof of stake, and Daniel Larimer did not. Therefore, at one point, they got into, a little...
Hey, Tone, do you hear that echo now?
Yep, that was on my end. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I had that page closed. It just opened. So there you go. Now that's done. Okay. And I pointed out the fact that the Satoshi famous quote, if you don't believe me or don't get it, I don't have time to try to convince you. Sorry. That was the very popular Satoshi quote. And Satoshi stated this to Bytemaster of BitShares, and now of Steemit, Daniel Larimer. And he keeps trying to sell people on this concept of proof of stake, and I think it's absolutely terrible. And by the way, before BitShares, he was doing something else, and some people this was before my time, and some people are telling me this is Daniel Larimer's fourth scam. And when he's done with Steemit, and when the price of the Steem token falls far enough, he's going to move on to something else, and he's going to try and dupe another set of users. I'm sorry, guys. You're going to have to realize this sooner or later.
Well, so I think it boils down to, and I think a lot of people have to understand this, is that you feel proof of stake is a basis for scams. And if people are going to choose to use proof of stake for their coin, they are a scammer, in your opinion, or that altcoin is a scam. I mean, your definition of scam is, I mean, it's proof of stake is one of your definitions of scam, I guess. Can we agree on that, or?
Well, in the crypto world, it is, right. I mean, it's proof of stake. That's exactly how our current monetary system works, right? So if you're calling the US dollar is pretty much the same concept as a proof of stake system. I mean, they can create it out of thin air, even though there are rules and regulations on that creation out of thin air. Same thing with proof of stake. There are rules and regulations that create your proof of stake currency, but there's no work being put into it. And before people say how the Steemit system is a hybrid where it's 5% proof of stake and 95% proof of 5% proof of work and 95% proof of stake, that may be true with the new changes in their monetary system. But back when I was looking at this white paper, the math that I did put it at 0.5% proof of work and 99.5% proof of stake. And you are free to call those hybrids, but in my mind, those aren't hybrids.
All right, so you've explained to the questioner that, I mean, it's nothing personal against the guy. It's just you call him a scammer because you felt BitShares was a scam because of proof of stake. So there's no, I think people were wondering if there's some animosity between you and him. Like
I've never met Dan Larimer. I've never met Dan Larimer. The first time I've ever spoken to Dan Larimer was on that Whale Pool podcast 2 weeks ago or last week. And that debate happened by accident. That debate wasn't planned. Whale Pool was going to speak to Ned Scott. And I've never even been on Whale Pool. Whale Pool was going to speak to him. And someone sent me the link. And I said, oh, I'll get in there and I'll just listen. I wasn't even going to say anything. And I eventually got in there and I thought I had missed them. So I thought I came after they had spoken, which I think actually happened. So I actually missed them or him speaking. So I was just on Whale Pool and I was just telling them what I thought of Steemit. And I didn't even know it was recorded. I was just talking to them because it's a chat group. I was just talking to them. I didn't know it was recorded. And then next thing I know, Dan Larimer and Ned Scott are in there speaking back to me as well. And then the whole thing ended up being recorded. So I had no plan to debate them. I had no plan to talk to them. And I had no idea this was going to be recorded and then posted. Now, I'm okay with that. I mean, anything I say publicly like that is, go ahead, do whatever you want with the audio, the video. I don't care. I'm not like that. But that was completely unplanned. And that was the first time I've ever interacted with Dan Larimer in any way. So there is no personal agenda. It's all because I considered him a scammer during the BitShares days, and then he leaves that project and starts the Steemit project. And I just got so pissed at my friends and other people in the community that I respected that are buying into this obvious scam, obvious to me, scam. And that's why I went so hard against Steemit and Dan Larimer in particular. I didn't care about Ned Scott. I didn't know who Ned Scott was. I didn't even know he was the CEO of this thing. When I opened the white paper, I just saw Dan Larimer's name. I didn't recognize any other name, so I couldn't care less. But yeah, so that's kind of the story. There's really there's no bad blood between us other than me calling him out a scammer for everything he's been doing.
All right, so someone asked about the fork. What do you think about the fork? Was that legitimate, or I mean, what was that about when they?
What do you mean the fork and what?
Steem forked at one point to change the distribution system and everything. You couldn't get your
the one last month or this month?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
They call it.
No.
It's called.
It wasn't a fork, right? I mean, you have a proof of stake system where Dan Larimer and Ned Scott control 51% of the network. So, I mean, there's no, I mean, this isn't a decentralized system, right? Ned, Dan, and the Steemit account, who they control, and they admitted to this on that podcast on Whalepool. So when you have two people controlling 55% of the network, and they don't hate each other, they're clearly good friends. And I'm sure there are at least 3 or 4 other people that are good friends of theirs that were involved in that early 1 month of mining. So when you have, a small group of people that control like 70 to 80% of your stake, I mean, what hard fork? I mean, there is no fork, right? They can make any change that they like, and that's the thing. Everyone is like right now telling me, well, you're so wrong. You need to go and read on the new economics. And I'm basically sitting here going, guys, I put in 100 wasted hours looking into this thing the first time, and now they've changed everything as far as the economic incentive goes. So how are you still calling this, a blockchain? I never thought it was a blockchain to begin with, but how are you calling this something that's immutable, something that's decentralized? It's obviously not. I mean, it's almost impossible to make a change in something like Bitcoin. I mean, even Ethereum, it was difficult to make a change, and now they split into two. Changes are supposed to be difficult. And
yeah, I think it's interesting that someone over at Steemit asked you to do this AMA. You know what? Because I think your opinion is set in stone, and I think everyone knows that. And I wonder why people want to continue this debate. I think this thing is so played out now, the Tone Vays versus Steemit thing. I really don't get it. So that's one thing I had to say, but there's another thing. Is there anything positive that you can say about Steemit at all? Like, I mean, in terms of the community, that it got people, organized, that people are sharing interesting things. I mean, I'm not looking to make peace between the two groups or anything like that, but I think it'd be interesting to see if you think there's anything positive about Steemit. I mean, just because there are individuals who really care a lot about it, who have just grown to like it a lot. And I mean, I think they want to hear like that maybe Tone is not a 100% hater of Steemit. I don't know. That's just something that I've gathered from reading some of the comments here and just all around. So is there anything positive to say, how played out do you think this argument is now?
I'm genuinely thinking right now if there's anything positive I can say about Steemit. And honestly, I don't think I can. And I'm not like, that's my honest opinion right now. And I understand that there are some people that don't realize what they're doing, right? But the reason why the community hates me so much is because I'm jeopardizing their dreams of becoming rich. And I think that's the reality of the situation. They see me as like jeopardizing them, right? Like, for example, if you were one of the investors in the Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme, and you've been in that Ponzi scheme for a while, and you're making money, but you have a lot of money sitting there, and that money belongs to your investors because maybe your family's money, whatever, and it's at Bernie Madoff, and you realize that Bernie Madoff is running a Ponzi scheme. But you also know that if you blow the whistle on this Ponzi scheme, you will lose all of your family's money, when right now you can withdraw, let's say $5,000, $10,000 a month, no problem. But the moment Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme implodes, you can't get your $2 million back that's sitting there. So it's in your best interest not to expose Bernie Madoff as a Ponzi schemer, because you will be one of the biggest losers in that system. So you are okay with other people putting money into this Ponzi so that you can slowly continue to exit. So in the case of Steem, when they convince people, oh, you can just write and create content and you get paid for this content, the money that is paying you for this content has to come from people buying Steem on the open market. And the price of Steem has to perpetually go down because Steem continues to be created. And what I have right now on my screen, is this the first one that I wrote? Yes. So when Steem got out of the top 10 and it came down to number 12 at a price of 13 cents, I made a comment in one of my other ones that Steem is out of the top 10 and it's not going to go back into the top 10. I mean, it's going to go perpetually down and it's going to fall all the way down to these other ones like BitShares and Aurora Coin. I then saw Steem go below Dogecoin and it hit the price of just under 10 cents. And then the moment it got to this level, they went ahead and they made these changes to the inflation model, and then Steem got bumped up. I think it even made it all the way to number 6 on this hype that they're now going to have less inflation. But there's two problems there. One, there is still inflation, and it's still not that small. And the other side of it is, again, you need buyers. You need people putting in Bitcoin or fiat dollars into Bitcoin, into the Steem token, so that those writing content can then cash this out. So, and there was 1 week, this is last week, where every crypto in the top 15 was in the green and Steemit was down 33% because the hype of the changes to the inflation model, eventually that hype wore off, and the Steemit machine, the Steemit, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? Media machine, they always have these like notable days where there is media hype. Like some Playboy model starts writing on Steem, or Jeff Berwick starts writing on Steem. And then you get this one media day, and then after that it goes down. You get like another media day. So this was what? This is news that, oh yeah, so if you pay them more money, they'll put you at the top of the categories. So that was a media day, and that bumped it up for a day, and then we go down again. So that was this day here. Then we go down. And then I stopped paying attention because like every week there was like another announcement from the founders of Steem just to bump it up for the day or for the 2 or 3 days, and then it continues to go down. And I recognized this from the first moment I looked at the Steem website. And I said this back when Steem was here, like on July 20th, or even before that, I think July 17th. I recognized this aspect of Steem, and I also explained why the price went from like 30 cents all the way to $4 in a span of a month. I explained this. I knew exactly why that happened. Of course, I didn't know about Steem till after it had crossed $3. So there's no way I could have participated in profiting from this, nor would I have wanted to profit from this. Because to me, creating content is not about money. Creating content is not about money to me. Creating content is about content. I see creating content is kind of like athletes. Yes, some athletes play for money, but a lot of athletes play to play, and then if they're good, they get paid money for it. that is how I see content. You create content because you want to create content. If you are good, there is money in content, but you have to be good. You have to be that 0.001% of all of the world's content creators to make good money. And I am not there. I make no money from my content. I consider my content not that worthy of making money. And I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my content on Steem and cashing out Steem dollars or the Steem token because I know that I'm cashing this out by other people putting their Bitcoin into the Steem token, which I know for a fact is going to perpetually go down. Every now and then they'll make changes and they'll bump up for a day or two or a week, and then it's going to go back down.
Okay, that actually answers. Someone asked if Steem was a buying opportunity. I think your answer is quite obvious there, but someone did ask that. Now,
no, I have one more point on that. So,
okay.
If you are a short-term trader of Steem, and you know for a fact the next time Ned and Dan are gonna release some public statement or make a change, or they're gonna get convince another person with a following to join, like if you're in their circle of trust, and the next, because every week or every other week they release some kind of news that bumps the price up. So if you know that day's gonna happen tomorrow, there is a Steem buying opportunity there. And then the moment it bumps up, you have to sell. Otherwise, you're gonna be in a losing position 2 weeks later.
So, I mean, you're just saying this is one big insider traders type of deal. I mean, obviously, you call it a scam, so why not say that it is? I mean, if you're an insider trader, if you're an insider, you can make some money off of this.
That's how it launched to begin with, right? I mean, the mining period lasted 30 days, and a few people knew about it. And from what I read, which I have presented to my community, and I tweeted it and I wrote articles about it, is that this mining was even reset a couple of times, and people accused Dan Larimer of having his miners crash the first couple of days so that he wasn't able to get enough Steem in that first 2 days of mining. But when you have a mining period that lasts for 30 days and the Steemit website doesn't get its first article by Ned Scott till after the mining period has ended, what else can you call it but an insider trading deal where you mine it all, it then goes proof of stake so that you earn a bunch of it in a hyperinflationary model, and then you hype it up for the world to know, and then you start to sell it and make the money back while the price drifts for anyone that you're selling it to.
Wow. Here's something that someone asked in the past. Why did you call Steemit the most censored site on the web?
Okay, that's a good question. Let me open something up for that. So, as I was working on looking at the original white paper, let me see what page that's on. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
I think it might have been before this. Yeah, I went too far down. Let's try here. By the way, this my version of their peer-reviewed white paper is available on my blog, Liberty Life Trail. Just do a search for Steemit, find my extended Steemit article, and you can download this PDF. Yes, there are some mistakes in this PDF. I will admit I made some mistakes in some of this analysis, but I stand behind it. I will, if people are curious, I will show them where, oh, here it is. I will show them where I've made the mistake. It's actually on this page right here. I misunderstood their Oh man, this thing is really jumpy. Where am I here? Yeah, so I misunderstood this page, page number 16, and how they are using Metcalfe's law. So I made a mistake here. So for some reason, I misread the white paper in this part, assuming that they were using Metcalfe's law for currency creation, but in reality, they're using Metcalfe's law for currency distribution. So it's not as bad as I originally thought for this specific part. But as for the censorship part, now these numbers are different now. But at the time I was doing my research, and I saw a comment earlier. Yes, I do believe I've put in 100 hours of work into Steemit by now, because putting together this PDF alone took me a month. And I was working on it a few hours a day for a month. And it took me a month to do it, plus all the other content I've done. So yes, I have put in over 100 hours of work on Steemit. Okay, so here's why I consider it one of the most censored sites, is because if you look at these numbers, so if you combine, maybe I should zoom in. Can I zoom in on this? Okay, here we go. So if you can see these numbers right here, and by the way, this was also posted on Steemit. So if you Google, here's the source. The user Orly posted this on Steemit, called "How the Steem Pyramid Scheme Really Works," and that was a good article. He beat me to it. He knew I was working on it. He kind of helped me out. I was able to use his work. And I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. So at the time, if you look at these bottom two lines, you have 46 people in control of 64.5% of the Steem power, and another 169 people in control of 24% of the Steem power. So you literally have under 200 people controlling about 90% of Steem power. And the more Steem power you have, the more control you have of what content makes it to the first page and what content becomes almost invisible on the Steemit website. So if one of these legends, one or two of these 46 people, if they don't like what you write and they downvote your content, it's not going to be visible. So it's not a fair distribution. Like on Reddit, for example, I don't use Reddit, but I don't think the voting on Reddit is weighted by the amount of Reddit points you have. It's like everyone's equal. I could be wrong there, right? It's possible that Reddit also weighs your votes by the amount of Reddit points you have. I have no idea. I don't use Reddit either. But even if Reddit does do that, Reddit has so many more users that I'm pretty sure that on Reddit, 180 people do not have 80% control of all the Reddit points. And in addition, I kept an eye on these statistics, and I did this paper like 4 months ago. But as the months went on, the amount of Steem power got even more concentrated in the hands of the few. Because of this proof of stake, the more you have, the more you make. So the disparity between, I guess, the poor people that hold Steem dollars and the rich people that hold Steem dollars it continued to expand. So I think that should answer the question of why I consider the Steemit website one of the most censored websites on the web.
Now, you've put in over 100 hours into this, so you know this type of operation very well. Someone brought up the Yours network just now. Do you think the Yours network will be able to learn from what you consider Steem's mistakes and be successful? Do you see a future in the Yours network, or what do you think about that?
I mean, no. I mean, the Yours network didn't didn't have to learn from Steem. I mean, yours network didn't scam anyone, right? Yours network allows people to just pay other people with their Bitcoin directly. So whether yours network succeeds or not is debatable. I don't know. If I was forced to guess, if I was forced to decide, do I think yours network will succeed or do I think yours network will fail, I would probably lean to yours network failing. But that has nothing to do with scamminess, right? That just has to do with the fact that there is so much free content out there, and there are such better mediums for people to put free content, and also better mediums for people to honestly earn money from people looking at their content. That something like yours network has major competition. I mean, all yours network is doing, and again, I could be wrong, I have not looked into yours network all that much, because I don't think there is all that much innovation in yours network other than they're using Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is for censored payments, and there are, I mean, WikiLeaks is like the best example of a website that needs Bitcoin for censored payments. But if your payments aren't censored, yours network is going to have a lot of time getting the critical mass it needs. But yours network is not scammy to me. But I also haven't looked into yours network. So if I look into yours network and I find something there that I consider scammy, I will call out yours network as a scam as well. But I don't see it as one because I haven't heard anybody present a case for it, nor have I had the time to look into it. Does that answer the question?
I think if we've got any more really, I don't know. Tone,
you're breaking up a little bit there.
Do you think? Oh, I am?
You're breaking up a little bit.
I was saying that getting toward the end. What's your final? Give us your final thoughts on Steemit. This has to be part of the debate. I don't see how this can go on any longer between you and Steemit. I think it's totally played out. I don't know why anyone's even interested in like Steemit and you fighting anymore. I don't. I mean, do people just like drama or something like that? I don't know. I don't know. What do you? Any conclusion?
Okay, so I'm getting questions. So I think this is the big question, right? So I mean, I'm seeing questions now. I still don't know how anyone has gotten scammed yet, right? So I mean, that's a legitimate question because people don't see how who is getting scammed or how is getting scammed. Okay, so can we at least agree that Steem is being created out of nowhere and distributed to people that are writing content? They created their own currency, and they're distributing it to people that are writing content exclusively on their platform, right? Like they're not going to hand out Steem to people that are writing on yours network, right? They're not going to hand out Steem to people that are posting on Reddit, right? So they created a currency to distribute only to people that are writing on their website. Okay, does anyone have an argument with that?
Anyone. Doesn't look like it.
Okay, so we're agreeing with that, right? Okay, so now we're talking about, okay, so they're creating their own currency for the benefit. So obviously, anyone writing on this medium has an inherent incentive to promote the medium itself, right? Because that's the only medium where you get paid. Now the question becomes, where does the Steem token derive its value? Why is a Steem token worth 13 cents today. Right? And the Steem token is worth 13 cents today is because someone is willing to pay Bitcoin for it. But once they pay Bitcoin for this token, what can they do with this token? All they can do is upvote things on the Steemit website. There is no other use for this token. And because there is no other use for this token, and it's being created at a pretty big rate, I don't even know what the new rate is. I know what the old rate was. But it's still being created. I think like 1 million tokens were created just the other day. Let's see, actually. Okay, hold on a second. So the last time I took a snapshot, there were 229 million tokens. And I took this snapshot, I believe, yesterday. Bitcoin was still 810. So I took the snapshot yesterday. So let's see how many Steemit tokens there are today. And I'll refresh this page. So in the last 48 hours at most, in the last 48 hours, over 1 million Steem tokens have been created. Over 1 million. And because there is no use for this Steem token, other than just upvoting and downvoting stuff on Steemit, and it's being created so quickly, and people are cashing out this token faster than new buyers are coming in, that forces the price to perpetually go down. So anyone that buys this Steem token is the person being scammed. And the people that pre-mined this token in the first month are the people that are scamming you. And it's unfortunate that some friends of mine joined this site that had a very large following, and they suckered in more followers, and some of those followers went out and bought Steem Power in order to participate in this community, and these people would have lost money. So that is my view on who is getting scammed. And once this runs its course, Dan Larimer will go and do this again. After he did this with BitShares, he did it with something else before BitShares. And I've spoken to a friend of mine in the community that was very mad at Dan Larimer for the project before BitShares because he lost a lot of money in that project. And I don't even remember the name of this project, but it was before my time. And while other people I've heard comments saying, "Oh, I love Dan Larimer. I follow him immediately because his scams make me a lot of money." So there are people that are literally waiting for Dan Larimer to start the next venture so that they can get on in the beginning with him, and then cash out as he hands it off to the community, and then starts another one. And that's it. And then these projects don't actually die, but yeah. And then Larimer is going to keep doing this until he gets into serious trouble, he pisses off the wrong person, or the authorities eventually catch up to him. I mean, he can keep doing it, but I think his luck is going to run out sooner or later. And I don't like people like that. That's why I'm so critical of him. I'm more critical of him than Vitalik Buterin. At least Vitalik is on his first. Dan Larimer, on some accounts, is on his fourth. I'm only familiar of this being his third, but I've heard people say his fourth. So I don't know. I really don't want to do that research to see what he did pre BitShares.
Wow.
But okay, so I'm sorry. Well, unless there's another question, there was one more thing I wanted to say, but unless you have another question that has popped up.
I don't know. People have asked if you have read specific things that Dan wrote. I mean, that kind of question. I understand people think that like there's a magic thing that's going to change your mind. Tone has clearly read a lot of stuff. There's not one essay by Dan that's going to change his mind. I mean, So I mean, it's an interesting question, but it doesn't matter what Tone, how much other stuff Tone is. I mean, Tone doesn't go around reading random posts on Steemit by Dan. Reason for him to do so, I guess. So that's just me clearing that up. Someone had asked if you read a specific thing, and it's not even worth really asking because you haven't probably. So.
Oh yeah. So okay. Well, one more thing in case people haven't seen it. So the day I heard about Steem is the day most people heard about Steem. It was the second week of July. I believe July 15th or 16th, I heard about Steem, and I called it out immediately. And then this was a little while ago. I took a look, and Steem had lost 95% of its value, the token, since the day I heard about it, and that was identical to what the U.S. dollar lost in its purchasing power. But it took the U.S. dollar 100 years to do so, and Steem was able to do it in about 3 months. So, and I expect more of that, right? I mean, Steem is even lower today. It's down to 13 cents today, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's under 10 cents by the end of the year. But of course, pending another change in the inflation model, right? I mean, but again, they have a majority. They can do whatever they want. They can change it any way that they like. So that doesn't really do it for me. Okay, so here is the other thing I was going to say. I can swear I had a picture of it. Here we go. So I really like this comment. Whoever posted this, Asidayo, I don't think you're in this live chat, but your comment is very interesting, and I think this is a point that needed to be said. I think I should have led with this point, but I didn't. It says, I'm going to read his comment. Anyway, I'm reading the part in red. Maybe I should zoom in on that. Hold on a second. I'll zoom in for the community. There you go. And here we go. Okay. Anyway, I just get really, really frustrated by this stuff. I've had real life friends come up to me and tell me about OneCoin and how they have invested in it. Took me 5 minutes as a cryptocurrency enthusiast to learn that OneCoin is a flat out scam, and people invested thousands of their money on it instead of making them more aware of that he runs around calling everything a scam. See, that's the thing. I also initially only took 5 minutes, probably closer to 10, but somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes, when I first looked at Steemit. And I made the same observation of Steemit as this user did of OneCoin. So to me, there is almost no difference between OneCoin and Steem. And let me explain why that is. So the difference is the demographics are different. OneCoin focuses on retirees, and Steem focuses on the younger generation that wants to that they're trying to convince needs to be paid for their content. So their demographics of their target audience is different. Now, OneCoin charges a lot of money for cryptocurrency education. They have these education materials. Again, I've never been to a OneCoin meeting. This is just what I've saw other people research. So OneCoin takes money from you and it gives you educational materials. Now, you can say that's a scam, but it's no different than any other company providing you educational materials, right? So I'm not even sure how that part is a scam on the OneCoin part, right? Now, Steemit promises to pay you for the stuff that you write in a currency that they are creating out of thin air, right? Now, Steemit is actually creating this currency out of thin air. There's no mining involved. I don't buy their, I mean, there might be 5% mining. I don't know, but it's irrelevant. 95% is proof of stake. So they are creating this currency out of thin air, and it gets distributed to those that already have the Steem tokens. Now, OneCoin is also creating coins out of thin air, exactly like Steem is. And OneCoin is also distributing these coins to those that already have coins. The only difference is that Steemit doesn't ask for this money up front, and OneCoin convinces you to get this money up front. Afterwards, they're exactly the same. And I don't understand how people are blatantly out there saying that OneCoin doesn't have a blockchain or isn't a blockchain, while Steem has a blockchain and is a blockchain. Because I actually haven't seen any proof that OneCoin is not a blockchain. I haven't seen proof that OneCoin is a blockchain either, right? I'm assuming that OneCoin is not a blockchain. In the same exact way, I'm assuming that Steem is not a blockchain, because it's just proof of stake, creation of their own token. So again, to me, there are way more similarities between Steem and OneCoin than there are differences. There's very few differences. Their differences are very, very slight. OneCoin just takes your money for material, and Steem takes your money if you're buying the Steem tokens in exchange for your voting on their platform. OneCoin could have easily had a website and paid people OneCoin for writing on the onecoin.com, right? So, I mean, this might be, OneCoin might be like learning from Steemit here, right? So next thing you know, next month, OneCoin is going to open up a Reddit-like website, and they're going to tell people, if you write articles, you will earn OneCoin. I mean, I don't see how that is different from Steem. And I hope the people that are writing on Steem are listening. If OneCoin is offering you OneCoin that you can cash out at a higher rate than you can cash out your Steem dollars, would you then switch and go right for OneCoin, knowing that you can then resell this OneCoin to someone else and make more money than you would on the Steem chain, right? So this is a question you got to think about. Would you switch? Who's willing to switch? Apparently, some people have been able to cash out some of their OneCoin for money. So I don't know. Somebody would need to explain the real difference to me, because I see them as virtually the same thing, just very, very minor changes between the two.
Whoa. Well, on that note, we've been at this for an hour. Do you want to take another, someone throws another question out there and then we close it out? And I'm sorry it's hard to keep track of all these things going across the screen. There's a lot of just talking back and forth. It hasn't been that much of an AMA, I guess. I mean, Tone is very verbose. He gives long explanations. You cannot deny that. So, I mean.
Right. Oh, and I just saw somebody mention, like, you can get paid for curating. And no, I understand that perfectly. It was very clearly stated on page 41 of their white paper. I'm zoomed in, so it's all the way at the bottom. And it says, furthermore, Steem pays people to figure out who should be paid. This kind of thinking is revolutionary. Well, you're paying people to figure out who you should pay, but you're paying them in a token that you made up. And for the moment, it has a value of 13 cents a token. But I don't expect it to last at that price. I fully expect the value of this token to go under a penny. So then how much are you really making to decide who's going to be paid in the future? And here's another great quote from the white paper itself. I mean, I'm not making these up. These are quotes. Because everyone benefits, everyone should pay. In other words, no individual user should be expected to pay for anything. but instead should be paid for everything they do that brings value to Steem. So in the same sentence, they're saying no one should be paid, and then they're saying everybody should be paid for nothing, as long as they bring value to Steem. I mean, they're blatantly writing this stuff in their white paper. They're not even hiding it. And in the paragraph above, they're literally talking about lottery. It's like a lottery, but a lottery is a tax on poor people. Poor people don't pay taxes. So the government created lottery. It's legal gambling for the poor to get money out of the poor. Yes, one lucky guy will win $100 million, but in order for him to win $100 million, over $200 million were spent on these lottery tickets, and mostly the poor play the lottery. And then out of that $100 million that he wins, half of it also goes back to the government in the form of tax revenue on that $100 million. And the latest statistics are that lottery winners are usually poorer 10 years after they've won the lottery than they were before they won the lottery. So, and the Steemit white paper is comparing their model to the lottery. All right, someone is asking what my portfolio is. I'm not sure what reference. My portfolio is only, as far as crypto space goes, my portfolio is only Bitcoin. I might have a few Dash remaining, but I don't think that's a viable project. But those were in my stupid days in the beginning when I actually thought that altcoins were not had more uses than I now do.
All right. Any other Steemit questions? Steemit. Remember, this is a Steemit talk, and this might be your last chance to ask, because I don't know how much longer this can be stretched out. This debate between Tone and Steemit.
Yeah, I am trying to tone down, pun intended, on my rhetoric against Steem, only because I also have better stuff to do. I don't get paid for this. I have better things to do. There are other, people are sending me white papers left and right. But so I don't know how long this is going to keep going on, but, I'm also expecting Steem not to be relevant it might be relevant for another year, but after that, this movement will probably die out. So sooner or later, you won't hear it, just like Aurora Coin, just like Paycoin, just like BitShares. No one talks about BitShares anymore, right? I remember when everyone talked about it. Dan Larimer was on like every Bitcoin podcast, even like libertarian podcast. He was on Freedom's Phoenix. He was on LBT Network. He was pumping BitShares like crazy. BitShares was the Ethereum before Ethereum. And now no one talks about BitShares because I don't consider that a viable project. So Steemit will go the same way.
All right. I'm just looking at some of these other little things going across the screen. I think that's people are asking about specific Monero. Okay. No.
I am considering doing a series. Like, I will have a guest to like help me with this. I am considering doing a series, just talk about why I think every crypto is scammy. And then this way I can just point people to like video 1, video 2, video 3, and each video will have a focus of a different coin.
That's a beautiful idea. That's people seem to be interested in these type of matters. There was a question, and I know the answer to it. It said, "Are you on Steemit?" And no, he's not on Steemit. He stands by what he doesn't like it, he doesn't believe in it, and he doesn't want to make a penny off of it. I don't want to answer the question for you, but it was. You've made it clear.
No, exactly. You are absolutely right, because I know that if I cash out a single Steem dollar, then someone had to pay Bitcoin for me to cash out this Steem dollar. And I also know that the value of that Steem token is going to perpetually fall. So if I cash out, I feel like someone is paying me value and they're losing out because it's not an asset that has a chance of going up. It was specifically designed for the insiders to cash out. And that's how I see it. So I would never be on Steemit because I don't want to cash out and screw the person buying in.
Yeah, and it would appear very hypocritical if you just talk down Steemit a lot and then all of a sudden you're part of it. I mean, someone would call you out on that, and I guess rightfully so. You don't want to be a hypocrite. No one, you can't be blamed for that. I mean, that's the logical. You're taking a logical approach here, considering what your stand is towards Steemit. All right, it's been an hour, guys. How can this go on any much? I mean, do you want to call it quits here, Tone, or?
Well, if a person is asking how does Bitcoin go up in value, and that person is a believer in Steemit, it means you have not done enough research on what cryptocurrencies are. You have not yet learned the value that Bitcoin brings to the world. And Venezuela is the most recent example of that, because you can use your Bitcoin to buy food when the government doesn't let you buy food. And in America, you can use that Bitcoin to buy drugs when the government doesn't let you use a credit card to buy drugs. So it makes it very, very useful. So the Steem token would need to be at a level where where you need it for something other than upvoting and downvoting content on their exclusive website that causes the creation of that Steem, right? I mean, that's you're basically and that's not an economy. That's and that's the scammy part to me. Now, keep in mind, before Bitcoin became what it is today, it was worthless. And that's important to understand, that Bitcoin was worthless for at least a year and a half, and then almost worthless for another half a year. So Bitcoin had literally 2 years before it had a value of like 10 cents, and it was starting to become useful. So back when Bitcoin was useless, it was hard to call it a scam because there was no like money in it, right? You were mining this Bitcoin, but it wasn't worth anything. So you had nobody to sell it to. Well, you just played around with it as a science experiment. And nobody knew it was going to turn out to be the way it did. I mean, a few people guessed, and they guessed correctly, and they became rich. But there's a reason why there was very few of those people, because that was a big gamble on them to buy and mine this Bitcoin, because you're mining this Bitcoin in the early days and you're wasting electricity money on something that has no value. So that's how it got started. And by the time people realized Bitcoin is useful, it had 2 years to spread around the world. And Steem never had a chance to do that. Now, if Steem took a similar route to Bitcoin and had people, spend value on these tokens, that they couldn't just create these tokens with their hard work, but not have the ability to cash it out. And then these tokens were able to spread around the world and be useful for things other than Steem. It might have had a chance, but it would have also had to have happened before Bitcoin. And it would have had to begin with a fair system where two people don't control 55% of the tokens and then perpetually make them for holding them. So those are all big problems that Bitcoin didn't have to deal with because it didn't go that route.
All right. Well, I know I'm going to be out of here soon. Tone, if you want to stick around.
No, I think that's it. I think it's been almost an hour and a half, and thank you for joining me. Thank you for helping out. Thanks for raising the questions. I mean, you were very neutral moderator. That was great.
I try. I feel I'm not going to take one side or the other. I know where you're coming from, and I know where people in the community are coming from. It's very emotional. A lot of people really treasure Steemit, and they love social media, period, and they see a lot of potential in it. So people's feelings get hurt when something they see with the potential gets, shot at. And I just think Tone Vays is a very smart guy. When people say, oh, Tone Vays is an idiot, that's not a good response. At the same time, Tone Vays is a smart dude, and I would like to see Tone Vays focus on some other things, just spend his time more on some other matters. So if people are going to keep asking him to do these AMA things, I think it's a waste of time. Everyone knows what Tone thinks about, and towards Steemit at least. Everybody knows what he thinks towards Steemit. Nothing's getting resolved here, people. He's not going to fall in love with Steemit any day now. So I think my advice to everyone is let this die, let this controversy die between the two parties, and check out what Tone's got to contribute to the cryptocurrency community. Incredibly valuable. All these other things that he's involved in that involve Bitcoin and some of these ideas that he has. And as for Steemit, I say, me personally, I post on Steemit. I enjoy posting on Steemit, and people who enjoy Steemit should continue, I think, to enjoy Steemit. And people can just agree to disagree, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to be neutral here, so I think I am neutral. Anyway, well, cool. We had a fun time tonight. I'm out of here.
Yeah, thanks for joining, and welcome to the World Crypto Network. We'll try to have you on again.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.